Alright, today we kickstart the 4th season of We Start Stronger campaign, courtesy of the good people at Metropolitan. Yeah,
Thanks.
So we're beefing it up today by bringing Dr. Khosi as our guest to help us with the theme that we all struggle with, and looking at our relationship with money and emotions. The two are intertwined, because if your emotions are not in the right place, you won't definitely make the right choices when it comes to your money.
Yeah,
Am I
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. I mean, we talk about retail therapy that people engage in and end up spending money in order to assuage the feelings that they have at that moment, whether it's fear, anxiety, or depression even.
Right.
So it becomes a mood elevator to go shopping. You know, it just kind of gives you that good feeling. So we can use emotions and money.
Is it the reason why we call it impulsive spending? It's stimulated by emotions?
Yeah, absolutely. The impulse is like, generally in life we are looking to maximize our pleasure and minimize our pain. And so when we are in pain, it could end up being a whole lot of responsible decisions that we could make in order to mitigate or just to help ourselves feel better in that moment.
Maybe let me try to phrase my question this way. What effect does financial procrastination has when it comes to how I handle my emotions on the subject of money?
Well, it could go in two ways, right? So one, we could say you could procrastinate doing things that you should do, and of course our expert here can tell us about that. In terms of, for example, how many of us, when we start off our first job and our first income, they would tell us, Uguti, that's the day when you start, putting your pension fund in place. 100%. How many of us do that? Like, who wants to think about pension when you've just started earning your first income? You want to splash, you want to show off, right? And so we put off in the moment, focusing in the now, and let the future take care of itself, which then comes to bite us later on in life.
That need to want to show off and be affirmed by others, does it necessarily happen to those who just started in their journey of earning a salary, or is it something that throughout people struggle with it? Because I find people who've been 20, 30 years, in corporate or just earning a basic salary, they will still live beyond their means without even learning within the first 5 years.
So it doesn't start there. Any other person can essentially have the challenge. I mean, what is one of the biggest challenges is that society expects something from you, or a behavior from you. When you're starting to work, people will say, but when are you buying your first car? So society expects such things to you. When you are in your 40s, society expects you to have kids. And the question is, when are you getting married? When are you getting kids? And those are the pressures that we have to deal with as people.
And I mean, these are just ways for us to seek validation. These are just part of our normal human basic relational needs, to be validated by others. And very often, and especially, when we come from lack, to suddenly find yourself in a position where you can afford, it feels like an opportunity to make up for all these years when you've wished you could, when you've asked, and you knew, Gutekaya, there's no ways that they can afford that. When you suddenly can, it's like this newfound freedom.
Do we contribute to the idea of black tax as a result of always needing to invest backwards?
I mean, that's a whole
topic. Because I feel like it's the idea of black tax sometimes is self-inflicted, because you got to draw the line.
Of course, absolutely.
Right?
Boundaries are necessary. We've got to learn to say yes to saying no. The problem is that we feel obligated. And especially because usually there will have been so many people that will have contributed to you getting to where you are.
Correct.
And so you feel this sense of guilt and obligation to also do for others. And unfortunately, sometimes it comes to your own detriment.
Now, you introduced a new dimension to this conversation, which leads to financial shame. It's something that, a deep phenomenon a lot of us struggle with. And I'd like you to help my viewers to best understand how it's okay to know what your capacity is because not all of us have the same range when it comes to how far we can spend.
So Touch, I always say we all start from somewhere.
Correct.
And the biggest challenge with us as people is that when we are in that journey of achieving something or that target that we've set for ourselves, when somebody seems to be achieving that target faster or quicker than us, we put ourselves under pressure.
And we don't know their race.
We don't
They're
know
their own race.
You know. So
Exactly.
that, and it goes back to you knowing yourself and knowing your limitations. And I think that's one of the best things that one can invest in terms of, speaking to professionals such as Dr. Khosi, to understand themselves. Because once you understand yourself, it becomes easier to make better decisions, if I can put it that way.
And part of that shame is about the fact that because I have not done well or I have failed in doing something, it means I am a failure. And it's important to separate the two things. Having failed to do something is a behavior that you can change.
It's not a permanent condition.
No. But the problem is that we make it about the self. And then we become self-deprecating. We feel guilty. We want to beat ourselves down, and we feel transparent, like everybody can see that I messed up. I've incurred so much debt, and so on. And then we take shame that we didn't have to take to begin with.
Whereas that is a condition that can be fixed.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
How do you fix it, though?
So I mean, she spoke about incurring a whole lot of debt. There are services such as debt management, debt counselors that you can look into.
Are those tools available on Metropolitan?
Metropolitan will offer those tools to you. There's tools such as budgeting tools that are on our website, and many other institutions have those tools. So you start from somewhere, Touch. For you to end up in debt means that you may have made the right decisions, and unfortunately your circumstances have changed.
Yeah.
So it's not about you only. It's about the economy. It's about the environment that you live in that might have changed. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Now, we are creatures of emotions, right?
Yep.
Driven and led by emotions. How do I know that I'm making decisions that stems from positive or negative emotions?
So for me, at least,
When it comes to spending, of course.
when it comes to spending,
Yes.
I ask myself this question: do I really need this thing now?
I'm a now guy. I always need
Do
it
I
now.
really need this thing
If
now?
listen, once it's deposited in my head,
Yeah.
it's not for tomorrow.
Yeah.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I've got a problem with online shopping. I want to walk out the store with what
With-
I
In
purchased.
hand.
I want it now.
And
Yeah.
I guess, Touch, it's an emotion that you need to work on as a person.
I need to.
And truth be told, everybody has some form of something that they need to work on. The challenge that we have is if you are not even engaging anybody to start working on that thing. That's where the challenge and the problem will be.
And also, what are you actually numbing, for example, by going on a spending spree?
Yeah.
Some people will go drinking
Yeah.
and things like that in order to not deal with the issues that you need to deal with, so you don't have to go that way.
We are heading towards our closing. I'd like you to please help me with how do I make what I have work for me?
So Touch, firstly, you need to understand, especially when we're talking income, right?
Yeah.
You need to understand your financial status.
Yeah.
Your finances are not you. That's one thing that I've always said to people. But you need to understand your financial status, your income versus your expenses.
Right.
And that's a basic thing that you need to understand. If you don't understand that, you end up, over expanding yourself, offering people loans where you don't have money.
Yeah.
So imagine, I have people that will offer family and friends loans through their credit card. And those loans are interest-free. So what happens? You end up paying the interest, whereas you've borrowed somebody money, and that person is going to just give you that money back.
Yeah.
You know what the raps I always say to people? By the time I have money in my pocket, it already came with some interest somewhere or a bank charge. Because when you withdraw, there's already charge. There's some fees to it. So there's nothing wrong with imposing interest to anyone, but. Ubuntu. We use these terms to say what will they say? How will they feel? Is it illegal to impose interest if you're not a registered financial service provider to borrow, to lend people with minimal interest charged on the loan?
So by law, it's illegal. Because now you're running a business, right? And there are rules and regulations for that financial or credit providers have to abide by. Imagine you've borrowed me 1,000 rands and tomorrow you come to my house, I'm unable to pay you and you just take my TV. You know, so there are rules and regulations. But there's nothing wrong with helping one another.
Yes.
But what you need to do is, from the word go, explain that, bro, this money comes with interest. And it's either they take it or they don't take it. And I think that's the most purest way of doing things. I mean, even stokvels, borrow one another, members of stokvels, borrow one another money with interest.
Now, help me how best to propel myself to start strong, because that's the theme of the campaign. Yeah. Is it too late? How do I make it happen from now?
It's never too late to start saving. It's never too late to start reviewing your financial status. I've always given an example of every year, an individual goes to a medical doctor to do a checkup.
Yeah. Well, they should.
They should, right? At least.
She wants to make sure we go see her. Yeah.
And what we see is that people don't do the same for their financial status, to check their financial well-being. Yeah. And that is where the problem lies. Think about it. Your car last year, the value of your car was this high. Yeah. This year, because of depreciation, is this low. But you're still paying the same amount of premium towards your insurance.
Correct.
Shouldn't it actually drop? So those are things that people need to do when in the beginning of every year. But with this campaign, we start stronger. What we love to do is also try to involve services of experts and the community or people around you. So it's a collective thing that we believe that can assist you to, start stronger. But it's never too late to start doing anything.
But also I think what we want with this campaign is to harness the power of the collective. Yep. Because sometimes we make resolutions at the beginning of the year, but when you're on your own, it's very easy to cheat. Next month, let me just use it. Whereas when you're a collective, you have accountability to other people. That helps to keep you accountable. That helps to keep you consistent. So one of the things you need to know about yourself is that if I'm not able to do this on my own, let me rather go with, that acronym, together everybody achieves more. Yes. It may look like a little, but it's better than not doing anything at 100%. All.
Together we can, like Metropolitan says.
Give me the tools that are available to help me start strong.
So one of the tools is what we run. I mean, this as a campaign is a tool that we utilize. But second to that, we have workshops that we run, like your financial wellness programs that we run as Metropolitan. And in those programs, we have things like budget management, debt management, retirement planning. So those are the little things that we do as a company to make sure that people start stronger.
I love it. So we have no excuse. Tools are available out there for those that are watching, those who want to engage. It's never too late. You cannot write yourself off. There's still time to redeem your past mistakes. Check Metropolitan's handles, websites. All tools are available. And let's make sure we go out and finish strong. Is that fine? Thank you. Dr. Khosi Jiyane, ladies and gentlemen, and my brother Rapule Mahlangu joining us. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks.